All right, this is Niccolo Machiavelli, 1529, fucking book 2, part 3 of this fucking series. All right, so we left off last time talking about the difference between cavalry and the armor that was given by fucking soldiers of the day that day. So today we're going to start off with the next paragraph, which is Cosimo asking a question to Fabrizio. Cosimo, but two doubts occurred to me. The one, that I know the Parthians did not engage in war except with cavalry, yet they divided the world with the Romans. The other, that I would like you to tell me how the attack of cavalry can be sustained by the infantry, and whence arises the virtue of the latter and the weakness of the former. Fabrizio, either I have told you or I have meant to tell you that my discussions on matter of war is not going beyond the limits of Europe. Since this is so, I'm not obliged to give you the reasons for that, which is the custom in Asia. Yet I have this to say, that the army of Persia was completely opposite to that of the Romans. And the Parthians fought entirely on horseback, and in fighting was about confused and disrupted, and was a way of fighting unstable and full of uncertainties. The Romans, it may be recalled, were almost all on foot, and fought pressed closely together, and at various times one over the other, according as the site of the battle was open or tight. For in the latter the Romans were superior, but in the former the Parthians, who were able to make a great trial with that army with respect to the region they had to defend, which was very open, with a sea coast 1,000 miles, distant rivers 2 or 3 days' journey apart from each other, towns likewise, and inhabitants rare, so that a Roman army, heavy and slow because of its arms and organizations, could not pursue him without suffering great harm, because those who defended the country were on horses and very speedy, so that he would be in one place today and tomorrow 50 miles distance. Because of this, the Parthians were able to prevail with cavalry alone, and thus resulted the ruin of the army of Crassus, and the dangers of those in Marcantiono. But as I have said, I did not intend the discussion of mine to speak on armies outside of Europe, and therefore I want to continue with those Romans and Greeks had organized in their times, and that the Germans do today. So, basically, what he's talking about is Genghis Khan type of fucking military style, where they had to defend the fucking steppes. You know what I'm saying? Like, the area between the Pacific Ocean and, like, fucking Iran. Alright? That's a big, big, big fucking area. And they were all on horseback, and they basically lived on horseback. So, when they went to fucking battle, and even if they fucking, they lost, or they just came in and smacked a couple motherfuckers up and then rolled out, chasing them was fucking impossible. You know what I mean? Because they traveled so goddamn light, and they moved so fucking fast that they put too much distance between you and them, so you were never able to catch them. And running around trying to catch them had led to people like Crassus, who was a fucking general in the Roman army, fucking, his whole army basically just being fucking obliterated because, there was nothing they could do. You know what I'm saying? Like, fucking, it just, fucking, there was just too many fucking people hiking too fucking fast. People died of exhaustion, hunger, fucking, just making dumb mistakes, and then getting picked off one by fucking guys with bows and arrows and shit. So that's, something that, fucking is of a different manner. So he said, but let us come to the other questions of yours, in which you desire to know what organizations or what natural virtue causes the infantry to be superior to the cavalry. And I tell you first that the horses cannot go in all places that the infantry do, because it is necessary for them either to turn back after they have come forward, or turning back to go forward, or to move from a standstill, or to move to standstill after moving, so that without doubt the cavalry cannot do precisely thus as the infantry. Horses cannot, after being put into disorder from some attack, return to the order of the ranks except with difficulty, and even if the attack does not occur, the infantry rarely do this. In addition to this, it often occurs that courageous man is mounted on a base horse, and a base man on a courageous horse. Whence it must happen that the difference in courage causes disorders, nor should anyone wonder that a knot group of infantry sustains every attack of the cavalry. For the horse is a sensible animal and knows the dangers and goes in unwillingly. And if you would think about what forces make him, the horse, go forward and what keep him back, without doubt, you will see that those which hold him back are greater than those which push him. For spurs make him go forward, and on the other hand, the sword and the pike retain him. So that from both ancient and modern experience, it has been seen that a small group of infantry can be very secure from even an actually insuperable to the cavalry. And if you should argue that on this, that the Ellen which he comes makes it more furious and hurling itself against whoever wants to sustain his attack and responds less to the pike than to the spur. I say that as soon as the horse so disposed to see himself to the point of being struck by the points of the pike, either he will by himself check his gait so that he will stop as soon as he sees himself about to be pricked by them, or being pricked by them, he will turn to the right or left. And if you want to make this a test of this, try to run a horse against the wall, and rarely will you find one that will run into it, no matter with what eland you attempted. Caesar, when he had to combat the Swiss and Gaul, dismounted and made everyone dismount on their feet and had the horses removed from the ranks, as they are more adept at fleeing than fighting. So basically, this is some real shit. You really start thinking about it. Fucking, back in the day when you had horses, like, it wasn't like having a car where the car would just go, or like a tank will just go. The cavalry, the horse would not just run into fucking danger. It'll fucking turn, you know what I'm saying? Like, the fucking moment it starts getting hurt from in front of it, because it's an animal and it doesn't want to get fucking hurt, and it wants to sustain itself, so that's why a lot of times cavalry on horseback was not as good as a basic infantry, is what he's saying. But notwithstanding these natural impediments that horses have, the captain who leads the infantry ought to select roads that have as many obstacles for horses as possible, and rarely will it happen that the men will not be able to provide for their safety from the kind of country. And yeah, he's talking about fucking, if he's talking about picking your grounds you fight on. This is talked about in Sun Tzu's Art of War as well. But this is important, just in having a conversation about being able to, like, say, if you want to settle down at night, right? Having a place that is hard to get to. So, like, if you pick your pathway out, make it so that, like, a horse has a hard time getting through there without getting picked apart. And so, therefore, you can always hide out and defend it much easier at night while you're sleeping, which is a positive thing, right? If one marches among hills, the location of a march should be such that you may be free from those attacks of which you may be apprehensive. And if you go on the plains, rarely will you find one that does not have the crops or woods which will provide for some safety for you for every bush, embankment, and even small breaks up that dash. Yeah, so again, we're talking about where you're fighting against cavalry. If you pick a place that, the fucking horse isn't going to be able to go, it is what it is, Anytime you get them to slow the fuck down, it basically negates the fucking ability to use a horse's fucking abilities, which is cool shit. Where were we at? There we go. Okay. In every cultivated area where the vines and other trees impede the horses, and if you come to an engagement, the same will happen to you as when marching, because every little impediment which with the horse causes him to lose fury. Nonetheless, I do not want to forget to tell you the one thing, that although the Romans esteemed to much their own discipline and trusted very much their own arms and armor, that if they had to select a place either so rough to protect themselves from horses, or where they could not be able to deploy their forces, or where they had more fear from the horses, but where they were able to spread out, they would always take the latter and leave the former. But as it time passes to the trainings of men being armed as infantry according to the ancient and modern usage, we still see that what training they gave the Romans before the infantry were led into battle. Although they were all selected and better armed, they were trained and greatest attention, because without this training, a soldier was never any good. This training consisted of 3 parts. So we're going to actually get into how you fucking train a soldier. And this is some big shit here. This is where, like, Sun Tzu falls down, right? His Art of War is cool, but this here actually breaks down the whole way how to get into it. This is why you need to fucking be able to, read different things. Like, Sun Tzu's good for understanding a basic premise of shit. This is good for understanding the whole way. Like, if Sun Tzu's fucking 3rd grade, this here's fucking college. Like, this is high school. And then reading in actual military matters, like reading the actual books of fucking generals and shit will take you into the college level to fucking get you to be more precise in what you're trying to do with the military. Although they were well selected and better armed, they were trained with greater attention. First, to harden the body and custom it to endure hardships, to act faster and more dexterously. Next, to teach the use of arms. The third, to teach the trainees the observance of orders and marching, as well as fighting and encamping. These are the three principal actions which make an army. For if any army marches and camps and fights in a regular and particular practical manner, the captain retains his honor, even though the engagement should not have had a good ending. All right, so he said, if you fucking prepared your troops in all these ways and you still come up short, what he's saying is you don't go down not swinging. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know, it's not like you fucked up badly. Like, if you did everything proper, like, if you have a football team, right, for instance, and this is where, like, you know what I mean, like, the matter of football's chess comes into the fucking ball game, right? If you have a football team and you trained everybody really well, y'all practiced hard, you did everything you were supposed to do, you knew the fucking drills of what you were supposed to do, but you still got beat by a better team, you're not getting blown out. And that's what this really gets down to. You know what I'm saying? That's really a big pivotal thing. Like, you're doing exactly what you're supposed to do, but it's just you might still lose if somebody comes through with some shit that you don't have. You know what I mean? So it is what it is. All right. All the ancient republics therefore provided such training, and both by custom and law, no part was left out. They therefore trained their youth so as to make them speedy in running, dexterous in jumping, strong in diving, stakes, and wrestling. And these three qualities are almost necessary in a soldier, for speed makes him adept at occupying places before the enemy, to come upon him unexpectedly and to pursue him when he is routed. Dexterity makes him adept at avoiding blows, jumping a ditch, and climbing over embankments. These are still things that we do today. This is still the same shit. Strength makes him better to carry arms, hurl himself against the enemy, and sustain an attack. And above all else, to make the body inured to fucking hardships. They're accustomed to carry great weights. This accustoming is necessary, for in difficult expeditions, it often happens that the soldier, in addition to his arms, must also carry provisions for many days. And if he had not been accustomed to this hard work, he would not be able to do it, and hence he could neither flee from danger nor acquire a victory with fame. Man, listen, this is some important shit that I'm breaking down to you. You know what I'm saying? Fucking like, yo, I'm gonna tell you what, we're gonna lead this motherfucker right the fuck here, okay? And we're gonna start off on the next one here, the next few days, you know what I mean? And because, like, these are big things that, you know, I think we should, because it's gonna go into the fucking teaching of arms next, you know what I mean? Fucking, so pay attention. And this is Tom Peace with P No News. Y'all know the situation. Like, share, and subscribe, you bitches. Peace.